Are you thinking about buying a used motorcycle? About to pull the trigger on that sick bike you've been eyeing for weeks? Well, please, stop. Instead, be smart. Set aside these few minutes and tune in because I want to share with you how you can avoid buying a total piece of shit and shop for a used bike like a goddamn forensic motorcycle mechanic. There is no need to go through the pain I'm about to help you avoid, because here's what happens to Bill when he's impetuous and doesn't pay attention to the details. Story time. Bill wants to ride motorcycles with his friends. One night, while scrolling the dark corners of Facebook Marketplace, he finds the score of the century. It's perfect. Great chrome, sick paint. He's dreaming of looking like that Prince album cover. Now he meets up with seller Cletus at the local trailer park, and he forks over his stack of ones for that steal of a barn find. But on the way home, it begins to rain, and then the bike shits the bed. It refuses to start up. He's miles away in the middle of nowhere. Now finally, he pushes the bike to his shop, where he's told the transmission is grenaded, the rear axle is bent, the brakes have no fluid, the engine was run dry as Rosie O'Donnell's limbs for God only knows how long. The steering neck is also bent, and the VIN came up as stolen. Huzzah! He got a sour as fuck lemon of a bike that sucked up his cash quicker than a lady of the night. And the bike's been sitting in the shop since day one with no end in sight. Bill is now borrowing money from his mother and everyone else he knows to fix the bike. Bill just got an eviction notice, and he doesn't have enough money to eat, enough money to sleep, and his bird's head just fell off. Due to impulsivity and inattention to detail, Bill still doesn't have a bike, and now everyone hates him. Bill trusted a tweaker, bought a stolen bike, and lost his nest egg. Bill could have saved himself from ruining his life.
I said $1, bitch.
Ow.
If he had just taken the time to ask me for a teeny bit of advice. And that advice is what I want to share with you today. After buying dozens of used bikes over the last 20 years, I've learned many things the hard way. That shit sucks. Like how much your mom costs on weekends after happy hour at the Titter. So I want to share those life lessons with you today. I'm going to cover, first, how to prepare to go look at a used bike. Second, the things I bring with me. Third, how I inspect the bike to make sure I'm not buying a surprise turd. Watching this video does not excuse you from using your brain, but it is going to give you some very valuable tools, skills, and some laughs to help you identify many common mechanical issues so you don't wind up like Bozo Bill. As I was filming this video, I felt like maybe I was giving away too many of my personal secrets, but then I thought, fuck it, who cares? So here we are. If it helps you, I'll be happy. And if it helps you or you find this video useful, please click that share button, send it to a friend who also loves low-budget YouTube videos and doesn't want to get screwed into buying a money pit. Let's dive right in. All right, now, I'm going to assume you already have a bike you want to go see. We're starting at this point because determining the use and best make and model, how I search for bikes, determine their values, and buy them without getting ripped off would be a whole other video. And if you want me to make that video, let me know in the comments. If I get more than 200 comments asking, I'll make a detailed video on that. So step 1, set some realistic expectations. Before you go inspecting used bikes, ending up with a bunch of expensive dead weight, let's pump those brakes, brother. Before ever buying a used motorcycle, you should gather up a realistic perspective about your skills and resources. First, this is going to determine how much of a fixer-upper you can take on. Some people can buy a total piece of shit, and they can do that because they have the space, the skill, the time, the money, resources, etc. If you want to go for a rip with the boys right away, you're going to want to lean towards a newer, better conditioned bike without any signs of being ridden hard and hung up wet. And I'll show you how to spot those hidden abuses in this video, though that shit screws so many riders. So pay attention, right? Now, if you're mechanically handy, and please be realistic about this, you might be okay seeing some of these things, knowing you can handle it. So just be realistic and set a clear expectation as to how much work you're willing to accept. This brings us to step 2. How to prepare. Now, before I hop in the car and go see the bike, I do what any Eagle Scout would do. I prepare. So first, ask the right questions before going. Don't show up and get freaking surprised. Number 1 on this list, read the fucking manual. I mean the description, sorry. In the ad, read the description. Don't be a dipshit and ask a million questions that are already written there for you.
Where do you live?
In the city.
Do you have a house?
Apartment.
Want to rent?
Rent.
What do you do for a living?
Lots of things. What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
38. I'm a kid, that's my job.
Yes, a lot of people do post something for sale and type absolutely nothing, like motorcycle for sale. But, well, thanks for that, bud, which is super annoying. But taking 30 seconds to read anything they've posted saves you time and keeps you from being labeled an asshole. Anything not listed, then you can ask. So here's 3 questions you can ask if relevant that could save you some time. Ask if the bike is accessible. Are you able to take the bike for a test ride? I have wasted some time, quite a bit, only to find out the goddamn thing was buried in the back of a garage where it would take a day and a half to unbury. So, ask. Ask if the bike is road ready, with new fuel, running. If not, now you know you'll need to bring some gear. Are the bike's tags current? So I can ride it on a road legally. And if the tags aren't current, how far back are they expired? If they're out of date, you will have to pay registration costs. So call a registration shop. They'll tell you what's owed. You can ask the owner to reduce all or a portion of this from the asking price. Now, if the bike is some special construction thing and no registration, only a bill of sale, well, that's a whole ball of wax you probably don't want to mess with. That bike may not be able to be registered. Fun fact, if you buy a bike outside the state of California, you can't register it in California unless the odometer shows over 7,500 miles. It makes no freaking sense, but welcome to California. Moving forward, bring a friend. I don't recommend you go buy a bike alone. For safety's sake and for fun's sake, go with a friend who isn't 90 pounds soaking wet though. Don't take your girlfriend, get your big gorilla friend covered in tattoos to go wait with the seller while you take a test ride. Next, get cash. Get cash out of the bank in the amount the buyer's asking. Now, most sellers today want you to bring the asking price in cash because they won't let you even take a ride on it without holding that money in their hand. Now, it's a sort of insurance for the seller, right? If you take the bike for a test ride, it has a horrible death wobble, whatever, you can't take any throttle applied past idle, you come back, give the bike back, take your cash. Or you can negotiate, which I will share in an upcoming video. Next is to bring your inspection tools. I will mention a few things along the way you may want to have in hand. And this brings us to the all-important, the in-person inspection, the first date, if you will. This is how to identify the lemon before you buy it. So when you show up to check the bike out, this is a big one, and you want to do this first because it's time sensitive. When you arrive, is the bike cold? Are the pipes hot or cool to the touch? If they're hot, the owner may have prepped the bike before you arrived. Knowing it requires some special sequence to actually run.
1, 1, 2, 1, red, black, go.
If the bike's pipes are cool to the touch, great, start it. Does smoke come out of the exhaust? Smoke can mean oil leak, incomplete burn, none of which are green flags. Actually, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Don't start it yet, but take note of those things. Next is to verify ownership. I always ask to see the seller's driver's license and the registration. If they don't match, I get the fuck out. You don't want a hot bike in your hands. GTA is a fun game, but not when you're sharing a cell and county with a couple tweakers. I've encountered people saying to me, I'm selling it for my TO, to which I say, okay, can you have your uncle come out with some ID? If they cannot, I will leave. You can also call any registration place, give them a VIN, license plate, owner's name. They can quickly tell you if the bike is reported stolen, as well as any outstanding fees, and they can verify the bike's owner. Next would be asking for service records. If they have none, it's not awful, but it's not great. I have purchased many bikes where the owner has a nice folder full of all the service done to the bike, which really only tells me someone gave a fuck about the thing. In my opinion, this does not mean the value of the bike is much higher. It does help to prove why the owner's asking the price they're asking, but if everyone's selling a certain model for $2K and this guy wants $4 because he's got freaking oil change receipts, no. Now, if this is your first bike, no service records could mean a big question mark for you, but the rest of this info in the video should get you up to snuff, so stay tuned for the good stuff, because I'm going to help you avoid a very, very common mistake. So after verifying ownership and service records, inspect for structural or body issues or signs of a wreck or drop. Look at the bike from all angles, sides, front, rear. Check it out, right? Make sure everything's straight and not tweaked. I'm gonna share a little story with you guys here. I once did not have this information on hand, and I paid $1,000 for a KZ400 that had been T-boned. Yes, the thing ran, but if I had been careful and taken 2 minutes to look at the frame, really inspect the bike from all angles, I wouldn't have gotten all the way to the point of taking the bike apart for a chop and realizing, holy shit, this thing is a pretzel. But let's get back into it. Next is inspect the finish. Look at the condition of the chrome and paint. If it looks like it's been sitting under sprinklers and hot as fuck scorching ass sun for years, this tells you there may be a neglect-related problem. This is gonna lead us to rust. Do I need to tell you what rust looks like? Probably not. But I am gonna say, unlike trucks or cars, with motorcycles, it's a bit easier to see if there's any rust. I'd say if the bike looks like it spends its summers at the bottom of Lake Michigan, don't buy the bike. Now, I want you to pay attention to this one very closely. I see this get fucked up on a lot of bikes. Check the electronics. Turn on the key, but don't start the bike yet. Do the lights come on? Does a fan immediately start running? Well, that's not good. Lights come on? Good. This is your opportunity to walk around the bike, closely inspect the indicators, brake lights, headlights, speakers, speakers, touchscreens, air fryer, and the easy bake oven for functionality. Next up on our electrical tour is pulling the spark plugs. I suggest you bring the proper tools for this. Pull one from each cylinder and check to see if those things are cooked white or if they're disgusting greasy black. Now you can check out this little graphic here to kind of see a breakdown of what the spark plug coloring means. And depending on the color, you can tell if there may be an underlying issue. Now if you want to be super cool, bring a new set of plugs just in case you're planning to ride home. I do. Now listen, son, we're gonna have to talk about rubbers. No, not those, the kinds on the motorcycle. You want to check the tires. Personally, look for cracks in the sidewall. Pay attention to the color of the tire, the tread depth, and also check the date on the tire. Yes, tires have a date. I actually did a great video on how to read tires right here, where you can learn how to find out how old that tire is, how to read tire tread depth, and so much freaking more. Now, if the tires have sidewall cracks, I will not take the bike for a test ride. I don't want to die for a bike I don't even own yet. Now, here's a good tip for the tire check that can indicate many other issues. Roll the bike forward or backward and look for a dirt ring on the tire. This will indicate the bike sat for a long time and can be a warning the tire has a flat spot. Might not seem like a big deal, but it can really cut a ride short when you've got a wheel shaped like an egg, or other unknown issues from sitting too long. Now, while we're talking about those round things, we're gonna inspect the wheels for any dents or dings. Look at the wheels closely. It will be very obvious if there's a serious ding. This usually occurs on the front wheel from impact with a curb or a small child. Now, a very slight ding, I wouldn't be super concerned with, but if it's noticeable from a few feet away and kind of looks like that, that's not good. A dent can cause wobbling, negatively affecting your handling and stability, and potentially leading to a blowout. Not good. The dent can also compromise the tire seal, causing air leaks and sudden deflation, especially at high speed or during aggressive riding in those twisties. And it can also cause uneven tire wear. Not good stuff. Now it's time to get a little dirty. You want to check the oil. Pull the dipstick out. Does the oil smell like fuel? You want to get a good whiff of it, okay? Smells like gas, that means you've had fuel leaking from the carbs washing the cylinders. The bike should not be started until the oil has been flushed and replaced. Does it smell burned? Does it look really black or grainy? This indicates very old oil and could tell me that the owner did not maintain the damn bike. This, in combination with no service records, adds to your case of it being a riskier purchase. Next is going to be to inspect the air filter. If it looks like somebody emptied a fucking vacuum cleaner bag into it, not good. Again, this shows lack of maintenance, and that is really the theme of what we're trying to identify throughout the whole inspection. We want signs that build our confidence that the bike was actually cared for. Now, I know I had touched on electronics earlier, but I want to make sure you guys have all the tools necessary to do an inspection properly. So let's get a little bit deeper, all right? You're going to want to inspect the wiring. Under the tank, behind the side covers, under the seat. If there's messy wiring, look the fuck out. A lot of people splice or add in accessories like LED license plate frames, purple ground effects, underbike lighting, the speakers, CD players, copy machines, all the stupid shit. Now, I have yet to buy a used bike with molested wiring that was done well. If there's a bunch of wiring of different color, or it's all one color, or it's got residential wiring twist caps, or the red and blue and yellow plastic covered connectors, blue painter's tape. Hell, dude, if you see any tape, take a peek under it, okay? If the wiring looks like a squirrel designed it, that's not a good sign. I personally won't mess with a bike if it's got a rat's nest of wiring under the seat. You could be roasting your freaking chestnuts in flame in the near future. Or sheepishly asking on the Brutal Forum for help with your electrical gremlins, which you actually should do anyway. At tjbrutalcustoms.com, just click the forum in the main menu. That's where myself and many other riders and builders are answering questions. Hope to see you there. Let me tell you a little story. I had a gentleman show up at my shop once, unannounced, which is already a no-no. And he says his bike doesn't run. So I go out to his truck and we look at the bike and I take the seat off, and I shit you not, every single wire was red. I pull the neck cover off, same story. Every single wire was red. This is a huge no-no. He wants me to fix the bike. Now, most people don't like being told, "No, God!" So one of the things that I do is if someone asks me to do something and I don't want to do it, I tag on what I call the bitch tax. How big of a bitch is that job gonna be? How much do I need to get paid to compensate me for dealing with that big fucking bitch? So I told him the price would be 10 grand. To which, of course, he said I'm insane, and I was very sweet and said, "I'm sorry, sir, that's, what it's gonna cost me to repair this mess." So he, of course, said no and left. What I did was I told him no without telling him no. So regardless, I'm really glad that I opened the bike up and I looked at what was going on, because if I hadn't seen all that red wiring, I had accepted the job, oh my God. What a nightmare. Anyways, let's get back into this inspection. Now I know going fast is cool, but stopping is also very important. You got to inspect that brake system. Do the brakes work well? Do they squeak or grind? Are the pads gone? Brake systems can be rebuilt pretty darn easily, and it's not super expensive. However, if they are in disrepair, it's another sign the bike has not been well loved. Now, if they don't work or they squeak a lot, maybe consider riding it as well. Stopping is kind of important. Next up, you want to inspect the hydraulic suspension. Unless you got a Springer, you can look at that thing, check for cracks, but with hydraulics, look for any seepage around the fork seals, around the front brake. Push down on the front of the bike, up and down a few times. Is there a bunch of fluid on the forks? This can indicate a seal going bad. Now, if the owner just wiped it off, didn't address it, says here, buy it, you may have to replace the bushings, the seals, or worse, the forks themselves, and that can get pricey. Also, roll the bike on flat ground. Does it roll straight? Look down the forks. Are they bent? Are they doing that thing? Now, if the forks are bent, this can mean the bike was in an accident and could also indicate a bent neck. If it's hard to roll, this could actually indicate old stiff chain, bad wheel bearings, or an issue with the transmission or brakes. If you can't push the bike freely without it sounding like a brass band falling downstairs, brother, hard pass. Here's another thing to check. Inspect the throttle. Does the throttle roll easily and snap back, Is it rough? If it's rough, again, it was not maintained properly, so you may need new cables. Those are a nominal cost to replace, but if the throttle doesn't snap back when I release it, I'm not gonna ride that puppy home. Throttle loss ain't the worst thing, but it can really turn a ride into more of a push, if you know what I mean. Next, inspect the cables. Turn the bars full lock to both sides. Do the cables bind? Do they get tight? If they don't, great. If they pinch or get really tight, there is a chance you could be pulling the clutch cable in a left-hand turn without even touching that lever. This usually means the owner added new bars and didn't take the time to measure for new cables, which I actually have a great video on how to do this on the cheap. Check it out. Now, you want to check to see if those cables are pinched or rusted anywhere. Pinching usually happens between the neck, the top and upper clamp, the fork locks, that kind of thing. Now, rusting just means you're going to need new cables. And if they're pinched, you don't know if the cable inside has been compromised. So again, not safe to ride. This isn't a deal breaker totally, but it does mean I'm not riding this piece of rusty shit. And speaking of rusty shit, you want to inspect the chain. If that chain is rusty, filthy, or dry, if it's rusted, it's dangerous, okay? That's just a rule of thumb here. A bad chain can actually turn into a chainsaw really quick. And a rusty chain isn't necessarily a walk-away issue though. It's just another sign of poor maintenance. You can replace it. For this part, you're gonna need to bust out your sniffer. You gotta inspect that fuel tank. Open the fuel tank. Smell the fuel. If it smells old, it's another sign that bike's been sitting. I also like to bring a small flashlight to look inside the tank. The fuel tank is full of rust, that is a huge issue. If I'm looking for a good running bike, I will pass if the tank is full of rust. So first, shut off the petcock, drain the carb or carbs, and I'll usually bring a gallon or two of my own gas, an empty container to drain the old gas into, along with a small fuel siphon pump, which you can score from Harbor Freight for a few shekels. Now you want to siphon or drain out all the old fuel, fill the tank with a gallon of gas or less, and now you will hopefully not be dealing with poor gas quality on startup. Should be ready to fire up, fingers crossed. This might seem like a common one, but it gets missed by a lot of people. Inspect for leaks. Look underneath the bike. If you see oil or grease stains, that means she sprung a leak. Then you want to use your hands to feel the underside of the bike. You can tell pretty easily what's just road grime, what's actual oil. If there's a lot of oil soaking in there, get a rag, wipe it off, see if you can spot any areas where the oil's collecting again after just a few minutes. Now, if you have an unknown oil leak, that's a great sign you need to do some repairs, since you have a leak from God fucking knows where. Now, with a Harley, if it's got an oil spot underneath it, it just means the bike has oil. Nothing to worry about there, I assure you. You really only need to worry when you see no oil under a Harley. Now it's time to turn up the heat. This is the overheat test, and this has actually saved me a number of times from buying an absolute pile of crap. Turn the bike on, let it idle for 10 minutes. Just let it sit, do some lunges, jumping jacks, trade some Magic the Gathering cards. This is the overheating test. A bike that has a cooling problem will kick off a dummy light pretty fast, showing an issue with temps. Now, I also use an infrared thermometer to see what the heads and cylinders temps are holding at with or without the dummy light. Now, for those not in the know, dummy lights are the indicator lights on a bike, such as temperature, neutral, oil. They're usually warning lights. Now, knowing the operating temperature range of the bike is good information to gather when you prepare, so you can tell if there's a cooling issue or not. Even oil-cooled bikes, oil-cooled, which is a bunch of bullshit, they actually have an acceptable heat range too. Now, if the bike overheats, you guessed it, repairs are in your forecast. Now, I want to touch on something here that's a subject near and dear to my heart. Welding. If the bike has had custom work done and you don't know anything about welds, it can be a gamble. It's not always easy to tell that welds were even done because some people just bondo right over those hammered dog shit beads. Now, if you have a friend who welds, someone who welds well at least, send them pictures of the work and see what they think. If you see stuff that looks like pigeons pooed on a bunch of pine needles, freaking run. Now we're to the fun part. We get to ride the bike. If the tires are good and everything checks out, take the bike for a ride. Now, I usually find a grocery store or gas station 2 to 5 miles away, and I ride there and back, going through all gears, taking it slow at first, but then pushing the bike to wide open throttle a few times. I also try to hit a freeway so I can get that bike up to speed. This allows you to feel how the bike handles and how it operates. If something feels off, trust your intuition. Don't let the excitement of the moment rule your decision-making process. There's a fuckload of bikes out there, man, and you want to get the right one. So don't get all starry-eyed just because it tickles your testicles and looks hella sick. Now, I highly recommend writing all this down to a little checklist. Take it with you. That way, in the heat of the moment, you don't forget anything. Like you forgot to share this video with a friend who also needs a motorcycle education. So share it. Help someone. It'll make you feel good, and it will help end world hunger. No guarantees. Let me know if there's anything I missed here. I'd love to hear what that is, and I'll toss that idea to our crack team of monkeys.